Now, this is God giving her a message concerning the children that were in her womb.
Yeah.
And then God said, one will be stronger than the other, the elder shall serve the younger. God did not give the children names. God did not specify who will be stronger and who will be weaker. God only said, the elder shall serve the younger. But how Rachel interpreted it was what affected the outcome of the children's life. She interpreted it that the younger, which is Jacob, should be the master over Esau. But God did not say that. God only said, the older shall serve the younger. And we know from the teaching of the New Testament, Jesus taught us correctly that the one who serves is greater than the one who is being served. So if you go by the interpretation of how Jesus taught us about the power of service, Esau is meant to be stronger than Jacob. I believe the behavior of those boys, even as they grew up, was because of the influence of the parents, how they interpreted what God said. Because Jacob grew up with a mentality that there was a prophecy over his head that his elder brother will serve him. So he grew up with that, okay, how can I get my older brother to serve me? I need to be the firstborn. So he started scheming from a very early age. Why? Because his mom influenced it. So our interpretation of what God says affects a lot. It even affects our children. So life should be interpreted correctly. We must not be in position to force,
force prophecy
to come to pass in our life. No, it's not right. For instance, a young lady is in a relationship and she's dating a young guy. They are both doing it right, but she's afraid of losing the guy. And she's trying to see, how can I trap him? How can I keep him? Even though she's a Christian, she now goes ahead to see how to lure the guy to sleep with her so that she can become pregnant, to use the pregnancy to trap him. You don't need to disobey God to keep a guy whom God has ordained to be your husband. You don't need to frame anything to be able to get the blessing that God has ordained for you to get. God is able to give you godly wisdom. God is able to show you the right way. We don't have to deceive people. We don't have to do things that are outside the boundary of God's righteousness in order to secure God's blessing or to sustain God's blessing. God is able to bring to pass in our lives what He has promised. How we interpret what God is saying matters a lot. You don't have to help God. God is all able and all sufficient to bring His good plans to pass for your life. Solomon said, what God has spoken through the mouth of my father David, His hand has brought to pass. So what God has said with His mouth, His hand is able to orchestrate and bring it to pass. When we begin to scheme, scam, deceive, deceit, lie in order to bring God's word to pass, it's actually a corrupted testimony. And at the end of the day, it will show.